Hi guys, good evening. Hi guys, welcome to another Monday, another edition of My Best Losses Monday. It's very good to see you guys here. Hey Dale, it's very good to see you. Thank you Dale for being here. Dirkje, always a pleasure. Thank you, and it's very good to see you. And looks like we got a very nice. Did we get a raid or that I miss? But anyway, it's very good to see you guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the support. As you guys know, I've been playing these adoption matches for quite some time, and I'm having a really good experience with them. They're very extremely educational, and a match against WGM Adriana Nikolova, and I'm going to give her a quick shout out in the chat. It was very interesting in a sense that it was very educational, and it provided me with an experience how to handle a very different opponent that others I've played recently. Basically, Adriana is a very tactical player. She craves initiative, and if you give her initiative, you are very, very quickly in very big trouble. So that was my problem in this match. And without much further ado, I would like to proceed with analyzing of the games. And before we proceed, I would like to give a quick shout out to Elgato for a set of key lights that I recently obtained, and I hope you guys like them. They're very fancy, and if you put a command new lights, you will have the information about them. This is a prototype for a potential sponsorship with Elgato, just a quick FYI. Anyway, so thank you Toilet Break Chaz, that's very greatly appreciated. Thank you. It was definitely an interesting match. I'm not sure I played really well, but I definitely discovered a couple of things about my chess game. Anyway, so we're going to start with the very first game, and if you look closer, the accuracy was very high, and it was throughout this match. I'm going to show you 3 games. In all 3, accuracy was surprisingly high, and in many games could have gone both ways. They were very good games, very, very great fighting games. So anyway, let me show you a quick. This is e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, a6, bishop a4, knight f6, then castle, bishop e7. This is all Norman Euro Lopez. Hey, thank you, Dirkje. That means a lot. I appreciate it. Looking younger is definitely always a plus. So thank you for that. So let's see, and thank you if you send me the link, Dale. I'll be happy to play it. So anyway, so this is standard Euro Lopez, rook e1, b5, bishop b3, and castles. As you guys, by way of introduction, Euro Lopez is one of my go-to openings. And I also like to play Marshall Gambit. I'm very familiar with the opening theory there, and I'm preparing to play if any kind of normal move is played here, and I'm going to turn the analysis window here. Normal continuation is c3, d5. For the purposes of playing an adoption match, this is a very good line because it's for a sacrificed pawn, and this is kind of the normal line. Takes, knight e5, knight e5, rook e5, c6. This is now normal regular martial attack. White here has an extra pawn, but it's very undeveloped. And on top of it, all the white pieces are far away from the white king. So I actually like to play martial attack, and actually most of the players these days do not allow black to continue with the attack. There are a couple of ways to basically play anti-martial in this situation. One option is to play a4. Another option is, most common option is what Adriana actually played in this game, which is basically h3. Hey, Hedgehog 1963, thank you for joining the stream. It's very good to see you. 7 months in tier 1. That's very greatly appreciated. Thank you, Hedgehog. That's very nice of you. That's very greatly appreciated. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. What needs also to be said is that Hedgehog 1963 is responsible for our YouTube channel, my YouTube channel. So please, a big shout out to Hedgehog and for all his support and help. That's very greatly appreciated. All right, Dale, let me see if I can actually play this. These days, we are trying to stay clear from the songs that are that are copyrighted, so we'll go from there. Anyway, okay. To continue, so h3, and the standard move, standard theoretical move here, which was I've actually played in this game, is basically bishop b7, and the white here has very good options to play d3. See, yeah. So Dale, if you don't mind, please don't be mad at me because we want to post all these videos go to YouTube. I really would like to kind of be able not to have the audio muted, so we're going to have to listen to this no copyrighted music, unfortunately. So forgive me for that. It's a conscious decision. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Okay, I can probably find that. Let me do that. Rudolph. Okay, so let's see. All right, very good. So let's see here. I'm presuming there is a... Okay, so we're gonna play this. If anybody complains, we'll figure that out. Yeah, actually this version is apparently not copyrighted, so let's hope for that. So to go back to this is the first game of an adoption match, and for those of you who don't know what adoption match is, it's basically to adopt someone in online chess. These days, you need to win 10 games in a row without in one session without any draws. So basically, for the purposes of this match, playing against Adriana, okay. So I needed to draw a single game in other words, to defeat adoption. So standard move here is to play bishop b7, which is, as computer analysis indicate, it's a book move. c3 is one of the possible continuations. In this position, white has quite a few options from a4, d3, c3, a4. All of those are completely viable options. d3 is probably my least favorite. a4 is usually countered by, there is actually a line which starts with knight a5, but that wasn't played in the game and don't want to go too much deep into the martial attack theory. Anyway, so Adriana played c3, and then after d5, took, and then d3, which is the best move. And here is, yours truly has one disadvantage when playing these days. I've acquired so much opening theory relatively recently in the past 3 or 4 months that it frequently happens that I transpose the lines. So knight f4 is actually not a theoretical move. It's actually not even really a good move. It's a playable move. It's not a blunder. because this knight actually belong on f4 because it reinforces this potential battery of the bishop on b7. Okay, so let me go back to this non-copyrighted music. And yeah, Dale, you know, the thing about music and the whole copyright issue on Twitch, you know, I don't want to even go there, but you know how that looks. It's tough. Anyway, so after knight f4, Adriana took, which is actually the best move, and after taking on f4, this is a fairly interesting position because in many ways Black hasn't sacrificed the pawn here, and it has lots of benefits of martial attack without the pawn sacrifice. On the other hand, there are now some resources to white that weren't available before, and I wasn't very happy about this. And so after d4, knight a5 is a perfectly good move. Bishop c2, c5, which is a topical move in this opening. Knight d2 takes, and then takes again. Bishop f6, knight to f3, and then queen of b6. All of those are actually standard moves in this position, and basically the plan for white here is to first try to capture this pawn on f4, and for black is to because black has a bishop pair, to try to generate some counterplay using these bishops, which are very strong in this position and really control the center, and then activate this knight on c4. And that's basically what happened. That's basically what happened in this game. It was, queen d2 and knight c4. And after knight c4, I chose to not worry about this pawn because, that this pawn really doesn't determine the quality of the black's position. As I said, this is supposed to be a normal gambit continuation, and although this is a better position for black from a standpoint of the piece activity, I still felt that I have sufficient counterplay even if I let go of this pawn. Computer here actually, instead of knight c4, recommends playing queen c7. Hey, Evilmanded, my friend, it's very good to see you. Thank you for joining us. It's very, 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 very good to see you. So, after queen c7, the position is dead even, because this pawn, as it transpires, is kind of tricky to capture, and I probably should have played queen c7. Yet this is still a perfectly normal position. Knight c4 is a good move. Queen f4, and here is when I start losing the thread of this position. Part of it has to do that I'm out of opening prep, and part of it is that I'm not necessarily worried about the lost pawn, but I'm kind of a little bit worried about some sort of underlying moves like a4 and so on and so forth. In other words, I kind of lost the zen of this position. Computer, incidentally, here recommends exchanging both bishops and then playing knight b2, and that considers that position to be dead even. It's having said that, that's really not the way a human would necessarily play this position. In other words, it would be something like this. And sorry, I managed to misplay that sequence. Queen f3 takes, and knight to b2, and this position computer actually prefers from the one in the game. And if you look closer, you will see that it will ultimately settle for equality. I find these transitional periods in games. Hey, why so serious? International Mark Esserman, my dear friend and coach. Welcome to joining the stream. It's very good to see you. Thank you for being here. It's very good to have you here. But Hey, Davina, Twitch, let's go. Let me give a shout out to two of my dear friends. And one, the first international master, Mark Esserman. Let me see if I can try to copy and paste here so I don't get misspell. And international master Mark Esserman is one of the premier educational chess streamers on Twitch. Please give him a follow if you don't. He is also a professional tennis player. So in other words, he combines tennis and chess, and he is a dear friend of mine. Also, a big shout out to Davina. She's goes under the handle Twitch Let's Go, and she's streaming and she's a frequent visitor, and I always enjoy visiting her channel. Please give her a follow as well. So here is this position, which, you know, I'm gonna go back to me taking the pawn. Computer considers this a very bad mistake. In other words, to the tune that this is now almost a lost position. But it's a lost position if you know, white goes into some strange line along the lines of knight e5 and then start an immediate attack while ignoring this knight in the background. I have to say this, when I was playing this game, I wasn't really aware of Adriana's style. We have never played before. So I was, you know, I wouldn't have opted for this continuation and this variation if I have had an opportunity to play before. She is a fearsome attacking player, and if you give her initiative, you're in trouble. And unfortunately, here is when I lost track of the game, and you will see that I managed to lose this game fairly quickly. Knight f5 is actually an error, but it's an error if you find, which was actually possible to find. You need to play knight a3 and get rid of this bishop, which would also discombobulate, for lack of a better word, white's position a little bit. But I didn't find this, and it's very hard in in this complex middle games to try to find the continuation when you have a blitz game. And as everybody on this channel know, I have a emote that says too old, too slow. So I didn't play knight a3, and instead I played a move that basically fought against the potential threat of taking the knight at c4 and then capturing the queen and gaining a piece, and that wasn't a good move. And then unfortunately that also gave an opening to Adriana to attack, and I here blundered by taking a pawn, and the rest is basically lost. I was kind of hoping that I would be able to play this end game with only down an exchange, but unfortunately I missed this rook e8 continuation. So here is an interesting question about this game. I managed to lose this game, and I'm a little upset about myself. First, this is according to the books. This is move 11. This is a completely drawn theoretical position. In other words, black is here not worse. It's quite possible that black is here even possibly better. It has initiative, and this is perfectly playable. I here managed to not find or not to remember a theoretical continuation, which is basically to play queen d7 and then continue with building up the pressure on the king side. With queen d7 that basically knight f4 gains in strength, because you can take on f4, You can even see the line. One of the computer moves is to play knight bd2, then knight f4, and this is hanging. There is a potential threat here, and so on and so forth. Instead, I have transposed my lines here, unfortunately, and even that was not enough for a loss. That usually isn't. And then the rest of the game I played well until I basically decided to ignore danger and grab the pawn on c3. Basically, my sense of danger completely abandoned me here, and it is at this moment that I lost the game. Bishop c3 was a blunder. I went pawn grabbing needlessly, and I miscalculated this particular sequence. I thought that I can sacrifice exchange, maybe gain some counterplay, but no. So I'm not very happy with my play in this game. Good news is that we really haven't played any more Yu Lopez games, because it was pretty obvious that my theoretical knowledge here is there, and Adriana never played Yu Lopez for the match. And this was game one, and in many ways game one benefit of adoption match is that you can take first couple of games as a warm-up before you start playing. So to continue with a second game, which is I don't want to leave the site. This is the second game, and this is a second game that was played in an interesting variation of Sicilian, and I actually managed to fall into a couple of opening traps there. In many ways, Zen of Sicilian is still new for me, especially in some of these lines that I recently acquired. And I'm going to show you this game because it's very instructive, because if you look at the analysis report, I basically had a winning position somewhere towards the middle, and I let this game slip through my fingers, which is pretty typical for my play in these adoption matches. It's fairly inconsistent, but it's a part of learning experience. So I'm really, not complaining or not being upset. It's one of the reasons why I'm playing these matches. Anyway, so e4, c5, knight f3, knight c6, d4. I'm going to turn back the analysis engine so you guys can see it. Knight d4, knight f6, and here, knight c3. Basically, black here prevents white from playing some sort of a c4 continuation with a Marazzi bind, which I actually like playing. So knight d6, and here is one of the big cleavage positions in this d6 Sicilian. Basically, black needs to decide whether it's gonna switch into Najdorf Sicilian, in which case I normally play Adam's attack with h3 and g4, or whether it makes sense to, continue with, in this case, the question here is really, this is a big, options are a6, g6, which then transfers into dragon, or in which case I actually played a relatively imprecise move, and the computer is gonna actually say it's the best move, and we are basically transitioning into some sort of traditional Sicilian position. I like playing Adam's attack, in which bishop goes on g2, because that bishop from g2 controlled d5, and I played what's objectively not the best move, knight d2, because I wanted to keep myself an option of playing Adam's attack, especially since, again, I was pretty sure that Adriana wasn't aware that I played. Anyway, so after bishop e6, basically h3, I'm still trying for Adams, and queen d2 is actually a better move, and incidentally I played this in a subsequent game and I had a very good position there. What Adriana did, she opted for a quick d5, which I think is a little bit premature, because It allows wholesale exchange of pieces, and knight c3 is a perfectly fine move. I should probably a3 computer considers the best, but in other words, translates almost by force into an endgame in which I'm not sure that white is not better. And let me show you how we transpose this. So here I consider this position equal, and the computer obviously prefers this position for black. And here is another potential cleavage point in this game. This bishop f5 was a significant inaccuracy, and I'm very happy to say that even very strong players for Adriana sometimes give weaker players like myself an opportunity. Bishop f5 was an opportunity for me to basically go and be aggressive. In other words, she basically walked into g4, and all of a sudden it's the white who has the initiative in this position. Anyway, bishop g6, h4, and all the best moves. And you will also notice, and this is something that I've observed in my game for a very, very, very long time, my precision and my accuracy significantly increased when I have the initiative or when I'm attacking. It's very, I don't want to say strange, but that's actually very common for my games. Anyway, so after bishop e2, which is the best move, I'm preparing h5. You get the, that's the best place for the bishop. Rook fd8 is not the best move because rook abandons this pawn to f7, which will prove to be actually a quick key weakness. So after h5, best move, I have a one position according to the computer. Why is this a one position? Well, if you look closer, these bishops are very strong. This knight is attacking. These pawns are ready to bust open the black king. Rook on h1 is ready to partake into attack. I really would love to play this position again, and you will see how I manage, why this is being shown on my best losses. One of the significant parts of my progress in chess, and this is the purpose of this stream, this is the purpose of these matches, is for me to basically learn how to win these positions, because this is objectively a one position for white. All right, so bishop d3 is a mistake, and I'll show you why it's a mistake. Takes, and then takes, and here is a winning move that was basically not seen by me. After queen e4, attacking the rook and threatening on h7, which is not the direct mate, but it collects a pawn and pushes the king to f8 and busts open the black's position completely. On top of it, the best, hey, Chicken Morales, yes, you're exactly right, queen e4 was winning the game. The best move is actually to take the rook, or if possible to give a check on h7, collect the pawn if pawn is still there, and then take on d3. But yours truly didn't see it, and instead I played a move that is first a stupid loss of a tempo, and you will notice that it loses the bulk of its advantage. And in this position, I ended up playing queen to c2, then queen to b3 in two moves, and I ended up wasting a key tempo. And in position like these, you cannot really waste any tempi. Anyway, so after queen c2, rook ad8. Mind you, this is still a position in which white is still slightly better, or it's at least equal. Queen b3 now is a mistake because it it gives black enough time to mobilize its forces. Knight c6 is forcing the knight to go where it already wants to go, and it defends on f7. Anyway, so if queen b3, knight c6, h6 is the best move. g6 is a mistake. Knight e4 is, again, I find the best move. Give a check on f6, king h8, and then queen b4. And queen b4 was basically an attempt to, swing the queen over to the king side. It really doesn't work. Queen d6 is actually a pretty big blunder. And after exchange, I would like to spend some time to look at this position. This position is better for white. And it's better for white for one fairly simple reason. This king is completely stalemated. And, there are all sorts of potential mating threats. And if we were to remove all the pieces from, all other pieces and just leave the pair of knights, white is winning simply on the strength of this knight on f6. Unfortunately, I didn't play this. I played a perfectly decent move, bishop e3, and here, I have unfortunately only 3 seconds. And in those 3 seconds, I managed to, not take on e3 instead of playing king c2, and obviously at this point I'm down a piece, and the rest is, not really that much important. So, I was fairly unhappy about this game until I started thinking about it. First, I went into an opening that I wasn't really familiar with. And the opening somewhere around, I'm gonna look at after d5 and all these exchanges, ended up with black being, significantly better, minus 0.5 better. It's not that even significant better. But, from this moment on, I played a series of moves that basically turned the position completely around. And for once, I'm gonna go back, I took advantage of this opportunity to play g4. And, then I played the attack pretty good and, ended up in a position that's objectively won. For me, who is not yet a 2000 player, to be able to do that against someone like Adriana. Hey, thank you, Rollercoaster at 123 for hosting the stream. Thank you very much. That's very greatly appreciated. To do that, that's actually a significant achievement. In other words, I was able to play quite well and outplay Adriana in this position in the middle game. And, obviously, when somebody is 2350 FIDE, that's a significant achievement, and I'm not necessarily unhappy about this game. I wish I didn't miss that take on e3, but on the other hand, my strength when playing with 6 seconds was never very high. Therefore, it's quite understandable, and I'm not holding myself to account for it. So the lesson to this game is, take the advantage of your opportunities, and I'm looking forward to doing more of it in the future. Anyway, all right. So moving on to another game that slipped through my fingers. This is basically a Caro-Kann game, and I have some success playing Tal variation of Caro-Kann, Tal advanced variation with h4, h5, and then bishop g5, which is considered a caveman variation of Caro-Kann. I've had many wins. I won a game against Levi Rosman in this variation. which incidentally he recommends is his great course on e4 for white that I highly recommend. I really like, and have learned a lot from it. It was kind of an irony that I managed to win this game against him. I think my score in Caro-Kann here is very good, and the reason is that you're basically sacrificing a rook in the main variation. The main variation goes something like queen b6, bishop d3, takes, queen b2, and here, surprisingly enough, the best move is e6. And computer can say whatever computer wants to say. This is a very tricky variation after king a1, queen b3, and this is not very pleasant for white unless he's very familiar with the theory of this variation. And you can safely ignore computer variation here. That's computer doesn't like this position and continuously underestimate white's chances here. Hey Danny, my friend, it's very good to see you. Thank you for joining the stream. Thank you so much. I'm going through some games that I played against WGM Adriana Nikolova yesterday, and so this wasn't played. What Adriana did in this position, she basically played queen a5, which is inaccuracy, and then after c3, e6, knight e2, all of these are theoretical moves, queen b6, b3, which is the best move in the position, knight e7, and knight f4, and just for everybody's benefit, f6 really fails because white plays bishop d3, and then he either exchanges and he basically sacrifices the piece, but there is this major hole on g6. The king is undefended, and this rook and this knight are not a very good pieces in this position. Anyway, so that Adriana didn't go there. So instead she played g6, which is a very solid move. I played bishop d3, takes, and then after knight e7 and knight d2, this was a blunder. Knight e5 was a blunder that fails with a simple tactical threat that I was strike that I was able to find, which was g4. And after g4, white is basically in a one position, primarily because these two pieces are undeveloped, and black king, surprisingly enough, in a significant amount of danger. All dark squares are wide open for white, and this position I would love to play again, and you will see this ended up being in a completely one position for me. Anyway, knight g7, takes, technically two mistakes. Better move in this position was to just take on g6, and that would have been probably curtains early. I didn't see it, please don't ask me why. I took on h5, played g6, and then, this ended up being a little bit more complicated position than it should. In this, I should have just played knight f3 here instead of taking on f7. Taking on f7 has the disadvantage of activating the queen and also allowing rook to be developed on f8. Still, after knight f3, rook f8, this position ended up being quite messy, but it's a messy with an advantage for white. And I needed to basically start thinking about defense, and I allowed knight c3, and I basically messed this position up. Incidentally, we played this Caro-Kann one more time, and I managed to lose that game as well. It's not as interesting in this one, so I'm gonna not show it. Actually, why don't I go through it real quickly. Let me see, and don't look at my bullet games, please. Yes, this is the, I think this is the game we're talking about. Yeah, there you go. So let me just show you this game real quick. It's basically the same variation, and I'll spare you the details. We basically replayed the game. The only difference here is that Adriana played Queen A6, which is actually a better move. I played Queen C2, and after Knight F4 and Knight D7, I actually managed to sacrifice on G7, and then basically this translated into a crushingly winning position for White. And I don't really want to go into details how I managed to lose this. I'm just going to make one very general comment here that to illustrate what I need to work on, which is, I guess, the purpose of this stream. And as Dennis says, yeah, it's very difficult when you're out of your fury and under pressure, but I have a problem. And that problem is as much chess-based as is mental. This is a +7 position, okay? Now, +7 position is almost the equivalent of a queen odds. What happens to me, and I'm going to work on it and I'll keep you appraised as I'm working on it, I need to figure out how to not choke in a position that are this dominant. This is a very dominant position for White. This is a position that White should win 100% of the time. And, and there are multiple paths. Easy path is to play Queen A3, and obviously this diagonal is in danger, and Black King is still under major threats. Dark squares are very weak, and this should have been a clearly won position for me. I have a problem, and yeah, simplify, but in the game I showed before this one, I basically spent time chasing, trying to exchange queens, and ended up, and you will see here, this game basically ended by me blundering a rook. I don't know. And I also have a problem when I'm down on time. So I need to work on it. I think it's obviously chess-based. I still have a problem with pattern recognition and visualization. But more than that, I have a problem with, I think it's also psychological. I think my adrenaline goes up when I come to one of these winning positions, and I just miss obvious stuff. Anyway, so after King A3, which I actually played C5, I blundered the G3, which still doesn't lose. But then castling is actually not a good move because it's very defensive, blunders the rook pawn on C3, and after this particular game, I managed to blunder a rook, and I'll spare you the rest. It's not really that significant. It was a needlessly lost game for me. So why I'm showing you this game, and this is going to be, and you're exactly right. The reason I'm playing these matches is basically I'm trying to identify my problems, and one thing that I'm not going to show because I've won 2 games in this match, I ended up playing endgames in this match much better than I played prior. I think some practice that I did recently helped me improve, but I really need to work on improving my conversion skills. In other words, I went from +7, 57.57 position, and then to a position that basically is completely, first equal, then completely lost, and then I blundered the rook. I also have another psychological element that I'm going to work on, and that element is when I blunder a won position, it's very hard for me to switch gears and start playing for a draw. I'm going to work on that too. But all in all, I'm very happy with my play in this match. Adriana was kind enough to say that I told her that I taught her that she needed to look into her Caro-Kann. Oh, thanks, Joe. I like the lights there. There are a pair of Elgato Keylight Airs. Actually, and I actually really like them. They're very good. They're much better than my normal light, and I've already got a compliment that they look younger, which obviously doesn't hurt. So, having said all of this and giving you a huge lecture, I think that I really like this, at Caro-Kann advance and this Bishop G5 continuation. It's very tricky and it's very hard to black to play unless they are familiar with, and I think I'm going to continue playing it. I'm also working on prepping Shiro variation, and we'll see how that goes. All right, I have a huge apology. Oh, thank you, Danny. That's way too kind from you, but I appreciate it. Unfortunately, yours truly's IRL has been really acting up today. Hey, thank you, Hedgehog, for gifting a sub to Joe Bruin. That's very greatly appreciated. In 7 minutes, unfortunately, yours truly has a conference call. So this is going to be one of my shortest streams. It's going to be only for about an hour. But before I go, I would like to tell you a couple of things. First, I'm having my session with Anna on Thursday at 2 p.m. New York time. We're accommodating Anna's very busy schedule. That's number one. And number two, my next two matches are against WFM Alessia's Teramo. That's our second match. Alessia is threatening that she's gonna prepare, and I believe that she will. So I'm a little bit nervous about that match. And after that, I'm playing an adoption match against WFM Ellen Nielsen. That's on November 1st. There will be a couple of more preparation streams between now and Sunday. I'll announce them in Discord, and if you guys haven't joined my Discord, please join it. It's actually, I do check it regularly. It's not very active, but we hope to change that. We definitely post announcement of all the streams. Bottom line, this was match number 16. Adoption avoided. I was out of 16 matches. I only lost 2 matches against Grandmasters Anna Muzichuk and Grandmaster Anna Hamilton. I think those matches motivate me to study more on my chess, and I'm going to continue doing them. Incidentally, both this match against Adriana and the subsequent 2 matches will be commentated by Anna Maya Kazarian, so let me give a quick shout out to Anna Maya. I don't think she needs an introduction, but oops, that's wrong. I cannot. There is no dash. Let me do that. Please give her a follow. And she's a great streamer, and she's in Holland, so she streams on European time, and she's also very good at Among Us. And give her a follow. All right. Again, thank you for joining me. Thank you for allowing me to test these lights. Based on the comments, I think I'm going to keep them. I really like them. They are... well, Joe, Joy's asking when is my next Among Us stream. Honestly, I would... It really depends on my IRL, but I'm open to invitations, let me put it this way. I'm a patzer at Among Us. My only skill that I bring is that I can read people's voices. So we'll see you guys there. And thank you, Joe, for joining us. Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Hedgehog, for all your support. And thank you for gifting the subs and everything else. That means a lot. And... all I can say is that I also expect a major announcement regarding a potential subsequent match. There is a surprise opening that I'll announce public as soon as it's official. So I need to keep that a secret, but it would be interesting. And the last thing we need to do today is to pick who we want to raid. Let's see who is raiding. who is still streaming. Okay. You know, I'm gonna send you to, let's see, I'm gonna send you to Nikki, because Nikki has been a big supporter of this stream. She's a relative beginner, and she has, I think I owe you or a couple of raids. So say hello to Nikki for me. I'm gonna join in a few minutes, and thank you again. Oh, Worship was streaming. I didn't see him. I'll raid my dear friend Worship next time, but thank you. All right, so thank you. I'll talk to you guys very soon, and if I don't see you Thursday, I will see you on Sunday, and thank you for being with me tonight.